when you're starting on a new endeavor, a new business, or investing in your practice, investing in your surgery center, what have you, you really want to think about what is your exit strategy. So kind of think with the end in mind.
Welcome. Thank you, Colin, for joining us, and obviously joining the team and helping out and all this kind of great stuff. And I guess the purpose of today was for first to just talk about, both myself and Krishna, but Krishna unfortunately is under the weather.
Sure.
I'll just tell you about kind of our what we're trying to accomplish, and then how we can be helpful to you, so you can be helpful to our audience. Just to put in a quick background, I was an engineer, didn't like engineering, went into medical school. And ironically, while I am a anesthesiologist and a pain physician, and I help cancer patients primarily in New York City, I do engineering work on medical devices on the side as a
Okay, cool.
consultant. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of industry partners, a lot of small businesses, startups, all the way up to large businesses with like such as Medtronic, those kind of things.
Sure.
Really from an engineering perspective, but honestly, I've been helping with education, marketing, sales. I actually helped one of the companies, or a couple of companies now come with their pitch and change their colors because I'm an artist on the side. I've done a lot of work kind of without having an MBA, kind of doing a lot of MBA-like things. So the idea came, as in pain medicine, a lot of us are fairly savvy in how to take care of patients and run a business of medicine. But it turns out most of my friends and where I live and colleagues and other specialties, especially, that savviness doesn't really translate or doesn't exist nearly as probably it does in some of the surgical fields and some of the
Right.
interventional type fields. So I have been for many, many years helping my friends and colleagues with some ideas of how to kind of evolve in a kind of changing world of medicine. I run a fellowship, and so I get to give a lot of advice to our graduates over the years and help them open their own ASCs, their own practices, some ideas, depending what region they are in the country. So our hope is that with our colleagues at IEP, Addie, Andrew, et cetera, and then Dr. Chakravorty, what's missing is kind of linking all the different components.
Yeah.
Um, what I found was that there's different business courses that tell you A to Z how to do something. But in reality, I don't need A to Z today. I might need X today. I may need Y tomorrow. I may need A through C yesterday. And so our hope is that the network that we eventually create with you involved is that when someone needs someone like you, when it comes to do
Real estate.
exactly,
Yeah.
real estate is what you do, but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. I want to buy I'm thinking of practice in Charlotte, North Carolina. How do I
Sure.
navigate this? They may not need you 5 years from now, but they need you today. And our hope
Right.
is that the network gives them access to someone like you. And the start of that is in October, which is why we got you involved.
Yeah, of course. So again, my name's Collin Hart. I run a real estate consulting firm and brokerage called ERE Healthcare Real Estate. So we specialize in working with physicians all over the country to strategize on their practice real estate. So what that means is a lot of clients, get to the point where they want to own their own building, and so we can help guide them on the thought process and execution of buying a building. Where a lot of our business is done is actually on the succession planning side. And so for folks who are later in their career and they say, hey, I bought or built my building to control the destiny of my practice, but I'm not, I'm in the later stages and I maybe want to get some money out of this, then we help them structure a sale of the building without interrupting the practice. And so that's something called a sale leaseback transaction. So that's like primarily what we do
Okay.
in terms of how we make money. But at the end of the day, we do so many other real estate related activities to help get people to that point, to educate them on that point. And so, we've worked with physicians on the very front end where they say, hey, I've got a piece of dirt and I'm thinking about building a building. Do you have the right resources to help with that? Can you help me model that out? We've worked with folks who say, hey, we eventually want to sell our building, but we don't want to for 5 or 10 years. Can you help us with our lease or with our real estate partnership or what have you? And so we kind of get involved in those pieces from a practice or surgery center real estate perspective. Again, we make money selling buildings, but we do all kinds of other things. Does that give you
Yeah,
the
that
context?
makes, I mean, obviously
Okay.
it's a big need. And a lot of us come in from a lease perspective, right? In New York
Yeah,
City, it's very hard to own a
of course.
property. So a lot of us are leasing 10 years, 15-year leases, trying to make their practices. So it sounds
Right.
like you could be helpful in that way
Of
too.
course. Yeah.
A lot of our attendees, a lot of people who are going to join the network are going to be around the United States. Are there different regulations per state, and you can manage all 50 states, or how
Yeah,
does that
so
work?
we've transacted in 39 states.
Okay.
So I couldn't tell you which 11 we're missing.
That's okay. That's
Because
okay. So people have a
yeah,
context.
we've definitely worked in Alaska. Maybe Hawaii is one that we're missing. I should fix that. But yeah, so there are certain regulations related to real estate consulting or advisory, and so we have all that licensure kind of dialed in to ensure that there's no legal issues or compliance issues. Yeah.
And I think all of our attendees will want to know what guys you can do real estate for anybody. What
Sure.
got you interested in helping
Yeah.
physicians, healthcare providers? We have a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
PT and CRNA and other people and other kind of healthcare providers beyond just a physician even.
Totally. Yeah. So I'll give you kind of a snapshot. So I used to work for a private REIT or real estate investment trust in New York, not New York City, upstate New York. I don't know if you've been up there, but
I have. It's beautiful, by the way. Should all check it out.
it's beautiful, but it's a way different vibe than the city. And
Correct.
so I worked for a REIT that bought a lot of properties. So we bought industrial properties, we bought retail properties, and then we bought medical properties. And so what I found is that we were always getting the best deal when we bought medical properties, and it was because we were buying generally from physicians who I won't say they had bad advice, maybe they just didn't have all the advice or all the context or really know what they were doing. And so we kind of carved that out as a niche about 10 years ago. So we started our firm in 2016. And so now we only work with physicians, and our goal is to kind of level the playing field on the real estate side of the equation. But we're very specific in terms of commercial real estate and kind of medical real estate.
So an
Yeah,
investment then plan to make it. That's something that you would offer all. Um,
yeah, I would say that's a little granular sometimes for what we do. However, we're working with a couple of physicians who are buying existing buildings, and we're like, hey, let us provide kind of like a diligence checklist for you, and we can kind of get you set up with some vendors for like a roof inspection or an HVAC inspection or what have you. At the end of the day, there are specific local
I see.
vendors, and that's kind of a local game. But as an example, like I'm in Southern California, and we work with a big retina practice in Charleston, South Carolina. And so we've sold some buildings for these guys, but they just keep buying buildings. And so they're like, hey, Colin, what do you think about this deal? And what should our rent be? And da 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 da. And so we've helped them buy several buildings. And then they put one in front of us recently. And I'm like, I wouldn't buy that. Like the numbers don't pencil. And so we
Okay,
kind of try to advise on kind of the investment side
I see.
than anything, more than like, hey, you should check the roof. You know what I mean?
Understood. And
Yeah,
more like how much you can rent this for in a certain area for
totally.
certain square
Yeah,
footage, and will this make financial
exactly.
sense 5 to 10 years from
We'll
now?
help with the economic pieces of it and the financial pieces in order to make sure that it's a good investment, you know?
No, that's great. I
Yeah,
think anyone in medicine who's helping patients need to really think that way.
for sure. Yeah. And you
Especially
certainly don't learn that in medical school, you know?
no, I'm not even sure. It's probably easier to learn on YouTube.
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
Yeah. No, but you're right. You're right. I don't think until I had to do this myself, and then you make your mistake, then you
Yeah.
realize how much more intricacies there are. It's very easy to think information for 20 minutes from a video can give you all the information you need, but in reality, you
Yeah.
really have
I
to
mean,
know a
I
lot
could
of
watch a
things.
video on pain medicine, but that
Yeah,
doesn't qualify me to do what you do. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
yeah.
100%. 100% support you.
Yeah.
If there's, I'm sure you have so many tips for early physicians. If there's one thing you would recommend someone coming out of training and they're thinking about doing some of the things you already help, just a little piece of advice that can really be useful to them just to get started in this whole process. Can you give me something that would be helpful
Of
to our.
course, yeah. The tidbit I always share with people is that when you're starting on a new endeavor, or a new business, or investing in your practice, investing in your surgery center, what have you, you really want to think about what is your exit strategy. So kind of think with the end in mind. And so many people get into the real estate side of things and they want to build like a Taj Mahal, right? And I'm
Of
like, hey,
course.
that's cool. And I know that you're going to work there every day and you want it to be nice. But you also have to remember that this is an investment and you have to be able to get your money out. We're not doing this for fun, right? You're doing it hopefully to make money and support your practice and all the things. So just remember that it's an investment. And so by having that kind of long-term perspective and thinking with the end in mind, whether it's related to your real estate or your career, whatever it is, right? That's the advice that I tend to give to people when they're, embarking on a new endeavor.
No, I think you're spot on. I think people just thinking that way, even though it might be hard to predict in 30
Of
years from now, you're
course.
going to be in
Yeah.
practice, but even the thought of, okay, I need to have a 5 year, 3 year, 1 year type plan,
Right.
and the real estate and where I am is part of that plan, as opposed to
Right.
just building a practice and getting increasing numbers of your patients. And probably the only thing I see that people who are coming out of training is I want an ambulatory surgery center. That's it. They just
Yeah.
think those the three letters ASC. I
Yeah.
want this, and I kind of I try to tell people back. This is yeah, just like you. This is an investment, and it's part of an investment portfolio.
Right.
And you might be say, you could rent a space, but invest your money in another type of investment, whether it's stocks or something else. So you really have to
Sure.
think along those lines. So you're correct.
And there are
Um,
plenty of buildings, I mean, on that topic, there are plenty of buildings where, hey, I think this could be a great investment, but you're not going to be able to realize it for 5 or 10 years in terms of actually making money from it and it being an investment. So you have to have that long-term perspective. And to your point, you can't forecast everything that's going to happen, but at least if you have a framework to kind of understand how you might maneuver this, it's really helpful. So
no, I agree. And then probably the other advice I give people is you also take on the debt, not just making
yeah,
money, but you have to take
yeah,
on the
yeah.
losing money
With
too.
with upside and profit comes potential liability and risk, right? So you have to
Yes.
be able to weigh the risks and rewards.
Ah, this is great.
Yeah.
Well, I feel excited already.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm excited to participate, sincerely.
Yeah, that's great.
One thing I will share with you, only because it was one of your questions, you said, "Hey, what are you looking forward to?" And I've seen Cameron speak or present before from Vestia, and I think their advice is so sage from a financial and personal financial planning standpoint that your attendees are going to get a lot out of the Vestia presentation. So.
We're
Amazing.
here to have you and Vesty. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, totally. Yeah. We've spoken together several times. So
It seems like the group that's coming in general really complements each other, and really
yeah,
everyone seems to say I like someone else, and this has been
yeah,
very
totally.
helpful.
Great
Thank
to
Thank
you,
chat
you.
with you
Great to
Collin.
chat
both.
with you.
Amit,
Yeah,
great to meet
hopefully we
you.
get to hang out sometime before you leave on your flight back home on
Yeah, yeah,
Friday.
I'm sure we will. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make a point of it. Addie,
Amazing.
thank you so much for getting us all together here.
Yes, thank you so much for your time.
All right.
Of
And I'll
course.
send you, a follow up soon. So,
Perfect.
all
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 right.
right,
right.
talk to you guys
Thanks,
soon.
Collin.
Okay.
Have a great
Bye-bye. Have a
day.
Bye,
wonderful
guys.
day.
Bye.
See ya.